Good evening. My name is Christine Latch. I am a candidate for an English language arts teacher. At the middle level is my lesson plan. We will be analyzing the author's point of view. This lesson plan is easily individualized based on reading levels and lexile levels. It incorporates student interest and choice with the independent level work. And it involves interpersonal learning. It involves think, pair, share, as well as a jigsaw. And it's implied that students will have access to some sort of interactive blog posting, whether it's through an interactive whiteboard or here on Zoom together verbally. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you and showing you what some of the background notes would look like. Every lesson starts with the learning objectives. So my students will understand that at the end of the lesson, they are expected to have mastered these objectives. Our first objective is to understand the point of view, how it impacts the context of the text. And our second is understanding how parts of the text advance the author's main idea or claim. And again, this is a middle level lesson plan for 7th grade, but it can be tailored for 6th, 7th, 8th. Okay, so our second slide here is a image. So I would ask students to do a think, pair, share, talking about what they think point of view means in terms of this picture. And after a few minutes, I would ask students to share, of course. Oops. Here we go. So this is part of the direct instruction, this slide, and this is very explicit in terms of making it clear to students that every piece of writing, visual, auditory, fiction, nonfiction, usually have an author's point of view. And it's absolutely essential to take a look at what the author's point of view is. So sometimes it's going to be extremely clear. So for example, I'd ask them to look at techniques that the author used here in this advertisement. However, other times the author's point of view will be much less clear. And in our classwork today, I would ask students to do a jigsaw. And with this jigsaw, each group would be responsible for one technique that, oops, I must have hit over. I hit a button. I should hit pause. Let me pause this. My apologies. So I would use these techniques in part of a jigsaw. Students would be responsible for understanding all of these techniques. We would go over them as part of direct instruction. So this would be, of course, this lesson plan would be after students understand these techniques. So more complicated techniques would be for more advanced students, and the simpler techniques would be for lower level students. That way I could assist them and they could start there and move to more complex ones like stating an opinion directly or using I explicit. Things are much simpler or easier comprehending for students with lower levels. And I want them to be successful with our demonstration lessons so that they can move forward and advance. So let's continue. Here is an example of one article that they would analyze, and we would do this one as a class. This would be me demonstrating mostly so that they can see that this article, labels for GMO foods are a bad idea, and this article directly comes out and states it. You can't miss it in this article. However, most nonfiction texts do not have an author's point of view that just comes out and states it. So students would be responsible for using their technique and looking in depth at a close analysis to understand what the author's point of view is in the next article called Scientists Make a Better Potato. And if I were actually teaching this lesson strictly online, this lesson would be much more interactive than just a blob of notes here on the board for them to read. I would anticipate an interactive PowerPoint of some sort. So again, here the students would analyze author's point of view in this article called Scientists Make a Better Potato. And I will show you that link next. Prior to talking about it, students usually don't understand how to talk academically about texts and things in the text. So we would discuss methods to speak about the author's point of view in writing in particular. And then I would ask students to contribute to the Jamboard to show that they understand the author's point of view as well as their technique. So here is the article, and this is an excellent resource to have students choose an article for their individual work so that it's more tailored to their interests, as well as being geared towards their current reading level so that they can be successful. That's one great modification to this lesson plan that I absolutely love. And then here's the Jamboard. So this is an interactive whiteboard. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And this is organized according to each technique that students would be assigned so that they could all share. And I've given examples according to these Post-its here. So you can see what they are. And I would ask students to contribute their own unique sticky note according to the author's point of view, so that I understood that they got it. This is kind of my exit slip. And then finally, they would absolutely include, this lesson would absolutely include some closure so that students understand that it's our job as readers to really take a close look and analyze what the author is saying by looking at things that are explicitly stated in the text as well as things that are implied. And oftentimes an author's point of view is implied in the text. It's not directly stated, and it's our job to be like detectives and figure things out. And we would continue this lesson tomorrow with how the author distinguishes their position with others, and more scrutiny, obviously, and I would expect students to expand on their techniques from implementing just one technique as an introductory method to being able to read to conduct a close read and identify the author's point of view very analytically, individually. Okay, so this is basically what my sample lesson looks like. Please feel free to give me a call, an email, or a phone call if you have any questions. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And again, my name is Christine Latch.